We're talking about how authors can be legally and ethically using AI-generated content in their world building, in their character development, for writing their stories, and for marketing the content that they are creating. Today, we want to talk about how we can be using something like ChatGPT to help us develop our world building and the world's history before our story gets started, so we don't have to do all of the work of the past that never makes it into the book. We just have it there ready to go so that we can jump right into our writing. Let's take a look. If you're using an AI generator to create your world building, you have to start with a specific prompt. The more information that you give to the generator, the more it's going to be able to give back to you. You're going to be able to ask clarifying questions, ask for more. You can ask to change things. And remember that when it comes to AI, it remembers what you've already said. So if you're already working on a story, if you've already given it information, you do not have to repeat yourself, but you can to let it know what it needs to be looping in on the past. But if you're just starting out on your world building, you want to make sure you're giving as much information as possible. Let's take a look at how to do this together. And if by the end of this, you want a specific list of questions and prompts that you can feed to an AI generator to get your world building developed quickly, effectively, and in a way that you're going to be able to use it and leverage it to jump into your writing, go ahead and let me know, and we'll do a spin-off episode where I give you specific prompts that you can be feeding it. So I'm going to start off by saying that I'm a multi-time best-selling author. I put this in for you guys in case this is your first time, but I've already told the AI generator this. It knows this about me. I talk about who I am, what types of books that I write, so that it knows what information it needs to be giving back to me. Then I get into the conversation. I said, I'm creating a retelling reimagining of Robin Hood set in a futuristic dystopian United States after a catastrophic nuclear war. I need to know about the setting. Please create a history of the country after the war, what the forest would look like, how homes and dwellings have changed, what food sources would be now, how safe it is for people to be outside and for how long, and what jobs would have risen to power in the wake of the war 300 years that follow when the story takes place. Should be in a forest outside of a city within half a day's walk, and it needs to be 10 paragraphs long. So I've already thought of questions that I'm going to need to answer inside of my story. I want to know what this country looks like. I need to know what the forest looks like. Has this nuclear war changed everything? How have homes and dwellings changed? If it has, are we now living in a dome? Or do we have specific metal buildings we have to live in? Do we have to live in bunkers underground? I'm already thinking about the questions I'm going to have to answer inside of my story. This doesn't necessarily need to be addressed inside of my story, but I, as the author, have to know this before I go into writing so that the world building is cohesive. Now, I've specified it's dystopian. I've specified the location. I've specified how many years it's been since. I've specified that there needs to be a forest near a city, half a day's walk. And then I said at the very end, it needs to be 10 paragraphs long. We have found that if you don't tell it how long it needs to be, it's just going to do short things. So if you can say 10 paragraphs long, it's going to give you more information. So let's go ahead and press the button. It's going to go ahead and think these things through. If you watched a previous episode, I talked about how you can be doing this for your character development. This is just an offshoot of that. I have not planned to write this story, but it might be now because it's actually kind of interesting. With this does not go into your book. This is something you are going to learn from. You're going to be able to change things on, and you're going to be able to use it to then inform your story. So this is the heavy lifting on the world building that doesn't make it into your story, just what you need to know as an author to make sure it's proper. So here we go. We've got a lot of information. It's given me a lot of really great paragraphs. I haven't looked at it because I was talking to you, but we're going to kind of look through this, and then we're going to think of questions that we can ask to clarify things. So let's take a look. In the wake of a catastrophic nuclear war that ravaged the United States, the country underwent a tumultuous period of recovery and reconstruction. The war left behind a devastated landscape and shattered society, leading to the rise of a dystopian future. Over the course of the next 300 years, the nation struggled to rebuild itself, and a new social order emerged. Okay, we're in vibe with our dystopians here. It says the once thriving cities became decaying remnants of their former glories, with crumbling skyscrapers and abandoned streets. Oh, okay. The government's authority diminished, giving way to various factions and pockets of power. The forest surrounding the city in which your story takes place became a symbol of hope and survival, an untamed refuge from the desolation of urban life. Okay, that was not where I was going with this. So let's say I wasn't going with this. I could say that doesn't work and make it redo it, and it would. Continuing, it says the forest itself transformed into a dense and overgrown labyrinth. Oh, I love that. Nature reclaiming what was once dominated by human civilization. Towering trees and tangled underbrush dominate the landscape, harboring hidden paths and secret hideouts. The air is heavy with the scent of wild vegetation, and the sound of rustling leaves and distant animal calls create an eerie ambiance. Man, it's giving me the vibes! Now, as I'm doing this, what I would be doing is I would be copying and pasting this directly into a Word document, and I'm going to add things in because I love some of the visual imagery that it's giving me. The air is heavy with the scent of wild vegetation, and the sound of rustling leaves and distant animals calls create an eerie ambiance. What does that look like? I can fill that out, or I can ask ChatGPT to tell me more about the eerie ambiance. So we're just going to keep going through here. You're going to keep reading through this. It's not going to let me grab the button. There we go. We're just going to skim some more of this. Hydroponics and vertical farming became prevalent. Oh, I love that. Foraging in the forest became a necessary skill, with edible plants and mushrooms and small game providing a source of nutrition. You guys, this is so good. And I didn't have to create that. That is something that it did for me. So now I can say, okay, well, if they're foraging in the forest, tell me more. Tell me more about what they forage for in the forest that could have survived the nuclear war and feed them now. Now it's going to start telling me more. There's obviously more things we could be looking at, but you can kind of see, here's what the information is. So if I know that we are now in this, not tropical, but a foresty place where they are going to be foraging, where they do have to do these things, hydroponics are incredibly important. Here are the things that they can be eating. And so they said berries and fruits, edible greens, mushrooms, and they've given me more information about each of these. Now I know what they can and they can't be eating. This is really, really helpful because now I don't have to start thinking through those things. Tell me more about the hydroponics. More about the hydroponics. I hope I spelled that right. I don't actually know. Okay. Hydroponics. I did. Okay, great. Vertical farming. So due to the scarcity of the arable land and the need to maximize limited space, vertical farming became a prevalent method with hydroponics. Vertical stacks or trays, going so fast. But they're telling me more. So controlled environment, nutrient solutions instead of traditional soil. Wait a minute, I want to actually read this. This is very interesting. Where did that go? Instead of traditional soil, plants are grown in nutrient-rich water solutions that contain essential minerals and elements are necessary for their growth. It's telling me about these things, which I can go and Google myself, but I can also ask questions to have it clarify with this. Has the nuclear fallout changed the way people see the air? Is it still clear? Is it dusty? Does it limit how far they can see from the lookout points in the city into the forest? Ask clarifying questions. Let's see what happens. It has indeed altered the way that people perceive and experience the air. Haze and dust, limited visibility, it's giving me information, perceived air quality. Ooh, and that then brings up, okay, so if we do have these issues now, you may need to be wearing masks. There may need to be things that you're wearing out in the public. So this is going to give you questions and answers that you could be asking about your world building so that when you get into it, it's not going to be a problem. Now, this is also really great. Because as you're writing your novel, if you come up against a question and you have to think, okay, is this possible? Is this possible inside of my world? You can start a new list of questions inside of your AI generator, and you can say, given these parameters or these details, is this possible? And it will say yes or no. It's going to go do some research for you so that you have the ability to ask those questions. Specifically, tell me what the forest looks like if you're walking through it. And so now it's going to give me some descriptions here. We're going to be able to see the towering trees, the overgrown brush. We're going to be able to see the silent serenity. Oh, okay. All right. They're getting signs of decay. Oh, see, now that I like. So we know that it has regrown at this point, but there are still lingering signs of decay. It's going to tell me more about that. So I'm going to type lingering signs of decay in the forest. Now it's going to continue to tell me more. Yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay. Crumbling structures, abandoned vehicles. If you like these things, use them. If you don't like those things, take them out. This is just going to be able to paint a picture for you of what your world looks like. And then if you have the parameters of this, you can enter those in and say, would this be possible? Would this not be possible? If this happened, what would happen? There's a lot of ways that you can be doing this to help with your world building. I need a bullet point list of everything you told me about the forest in the 300 years after the nuclear war. So just in case you need a list, you don't want to go through all of these paragraphs, it's going to go ahead and it's just going to drop those down for you. So now you have all the content you can look back on for your Bible, for your world building, but you also have a list of things that you need. You can continue to ask it questions, and you are going to be able to clarify what you are creating inside the world building that you are using for your story. So you can use this while you're writing or before you're writing, but this creates your character Bible or your world building Bible in this case for it, character building in the last episode. But we are continuing to show you how you can be using AI generated content to help you build out your books before you are writing them. We're coming up with those timelines. We're getting ideas for our characters, ideas for our world building. And remember, as of right now, with the court cases the way that they are, you cannot copyright anything that was created by AI. Meaning if you write any of this book, sentences of this book, you will lose your copyright ability and you can't enforce when somebody steals your content. So be very wise about how you're doing this and follow along, because we have a legal playlist inside of the YouTube channel here with a professional lawyer, an IP and entertainment lawyer who is dramatically following all of these cases with us in real time. We're going through all these things to bring you breaking news so you know where you can and cannot be spending your time and efforts if you want to make sure you have that copyright protection. We also know a lot of the book distributors are now coming out with rules and regulations on AI-generated content out on their platforms. And we know that there have been some big things going on with that and takedowns right now. So being smart, being legal, being ethical about how you're using your AI is going to save you a ton of time and effort, allow you to do some really cool things, but also make sure that you're protected in all of this as well. If you have questions for me on this, go ahead and drop it now. If you have legal questions, we're going to have our lawyer back for more episodes. And if you want a follow-up video on this, on specific prompts that you can feed to your AI generator on your world building to get really effective, easy world building for you, go ahead and let me know. We'll do a spin-off episode with a full list for you. And follow along, because every single day we're dropping new videos to help you navigate the world of publishing. So this can be your most profitable year ever. But also we are dropping upcoming episodes and ways that you can be using AI generators to save yourself a ton of time and effort and stress inside of your publishing career so that it can be your most profitable year ever, but you still have tons of luxury time to do exactly what you want to do inside of your life. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.